Good morning! In this video, we will be covering the user interface design in Java. And first, we will build the front end, and then next, we will add the functionality and some event handling procedures. So first, we will add a new project here in NetBeans. So let's name this number addition. To proceed with building our interface, we need to create a Java container within which we will place the other required GUI components. In this step, we'll create a container using the JFrame component. We will place the container in a new package which will appear within the source packages node. Then, these are the steps to create a JFrame container. In the projects window, we right-click the number addition node and choose New Other. In the New File dialog box, choose the Swing GUI Forms category and the JFrame form file type, then click Next. We will enter here number addition UI as the class name and my number addition as the package. Then click Finish. The IDE creates the number addition UI form and the number addition UI class within the number addition application, and opens the number addition UI form in the GUI builder. The my.number addition package replaces the default package. Next, we will use the palette to populate our application's front end with a JPanel. Then, we will add free JLabels, free JText fields, and free JButtons. Once you are done dragging and positioning the aforementioned components, the JFrame should look something like the following. Next, we are going to rename the display text of the components that were just added to the JFrame. we'll have to double click the component to change the text property. For label 2, we'll name this second number. For J label 3, we'll change this to third number. For J label 3, we'll change this to result. Then we will also delete the text for our text fields. And let's change the text of our buttons. J button 1 will have add. J button 2 will have, let's go back to design. This is clear. And J button 3 will have exit. Next, we are going to give functionality to the add, clear, and exit buttons. The JText Field 1 and JText Field 2 boxes will be used for user input and JText Field 3 for the program output. What we are creating is a very simple calculator. So, in order to give function to the buttons, we have to assign an event handler to each to respond to events. In our case, we want to know when the button is pressed, either by mouse click or via keyboard. So we will use action listener responding to action event. Right-click the exit button. From the pop-up menu, choose events, action, then action performed. Note that the menu contains many more events you can respond to. When you select the action performed event, the IDE will automatically add an action listener to the exit button and generate a handler method for handling the listener's action performed method. So this is now our action listener to the exit button. The IDE will open up the source code window and scroll to where you implement the action you want the button to do when the button is pressed, either by mouse click or via keyboard. Your source code window should contain the following lines: private void jbutton3 action performed java.awt.event.action EVT, then a comment of to do add your handling code here. We are now going to add code for what we want the exit button to do. Replace the to-do line with system.exit 0. Next, we will click the Design tab at the top of your work area to go back to the form design, and then right-click the Clear button. From the pop-up menu, select Events, and then Action Performed. So this is now our action listener for the J button 2. We are going to have the Clear button erase all text from the J text fields. To do this, you will add some code as shown in this screen. We have J text field 1 that set text, and J text field 2 that set text, J text field 3 that set text, so here we have used the set text method. So we are setting the text property of the text field 1 to be equals to a blank string, and JText field 2's text will also be set to a blank string, and JText field 3 to blank. So this will all simply change the text. The set text method is used to change the text property of the text fields. Now, if the J button 2 is clicked, all of the fields, J text field 1, 2, and 3 will have a blank text, or it will empty out the text fields. Now, this code changes the text in all three of our J text fields to nothing. In essence, it is overwriting the existing text with a blank string. Next, we will add functionality to our add button. So going back to our design, we can again right click on our add button and then click event, action performed. So here is our action listener for the add button, or our J button 1. So the add button will perform 3 actions. First, it is going to accept user input from JText field 1 and JText field 2 and convert the input from a type string to a float. Then, second, it will then perform addition of the two numbers. Third, finally, it will convert the sum to a type string and place it in JText field 3. So, take note that everything that is typed in the text field are in the data type string. So we need to convert those string into float numbers. So we will write the code of our J button 1. First, we define the float variables that will hold the numbers entered in our JText field 1 and JText field 2, as well as our result. Next, we have to parse or convert the text to a type float. So here, the text that is inside the JText field 1, which is the input of the user, is retrieved using the getText method. And then that will be converted using the float.parsefloat and will be stored in num1. Next, we also have to get the text in JText field 2. And then next, we can perform the addition. Result equals num1 plus num2. And then we will pass the value of result to JText field 3. At the same time, we are going to change the value of result from a float to a string, because the result of our result is in a float data type and we want it to be displayed in a text field. We need to convert the number into string because the text field data type in its text property should accept only a string data type. So we need to again convert the float to string. So we do that using this the setText to change the text of text field 3, and then we convert the float to string using the method string.valueof. Our program is now complete. We can now build and run it to see in action. First, let's delete the previous empty package, and then let's run and select the main class to be the number addition UI. And so here is our output. We can see here, so we need to so we now have our output user interface. Then we can see that the text property of JText field 1 and 2 and 3 are empty. So the user can type here the first number. Let's say let's type 15 and the second number is 5. Then the result should be displayed after we click add. So now we have another example, and this is the VB University payroll application. So you see here that there are three panels. The first one is for the employee information, the second is for the benefits, and the third panel is for the payroll information. And we have three buttons: compute, reset, and exit. So the benefits group box are three radio button and three checkbox controls that are used to capture information about employee benefit options. The selected retirement benefit defaults to no retirement plan, and the employees have the option of not participating. This makes them responsible for setting up their own retirement plan. There is no deduction from the employee's gross pay for the default no retirement plan option. Employees can opt for the firm's standard plan. 5% of their gross pay is deducted from their check and placed in a special retirement account. Employees opting for this plan will be paid interest on their accumulated retirement deductions according to the T-bills market. Employees can participate in a 401(a) plan. 8% of their gross pay is deducted each pay period, and the firm will match this contribution. The money is managed by a local firm that invests the money in mutual funds. Next, we have employees can select any combination of optional insurance benefits. Medical insurance costs an hourly employee $37.75 per pay period through a group health maintenance organization or HMO plan. Life insurance is provided at a fee of $18.35 per pay period through a special group employee plan, and dental insurance is $4 per pay period. The payroll information group box, there are four text box controls with read only equals true and tab stop equals to false and text align equals to right and display output. The gross pay will this is the pay rate times the hours worked, and employees working over 40 hours per week are paid 1.5 times their normal pay rate for all hours worked over 40 hours. The federal tax is the amount of federal tax due from an employee depends on the employee's gross pay amount. The federal tax structure is discussed later in these notes. And the benefits are the cost of benefits, both retirement plus insurance selected by an employee is deducted from the gross pay. And we have net pay computed as gross pay minus federal tax minus benefits. So first is we have to design this user interface. So going back to our IDE, we will create a new program or new project. So let's say this is the payroll, and we'll not create a main class. And let's create a new JFrame form. This is payroll. So let's assign the given interface. So we have a panel for the employee information. A label for the name, employee ID, and the department, and then a text box for or a text field for the name, for the J label 2 for employee ID, and for the department. This is for the department. So this is the name. Then let's have another one label for the hours worked and the pay rate. Let's have another text field. So the user will enter here his or her name. Let's see. Employee ID, the department, and then the hours worked, and the pay rate. So let's add a column to be consistent on all of our labels. Then the text field will have a blank text. Then let's add another panel. For the benefits, and we'll include the radio button here, 3 radio buttons, and 3 check boxes. First one is no retirement. First benefit option is no retirement plan. Second one is retirement standard. Next one is retirement 401A, and let's change their alignment here. Medical then we'll have another panel for the payroll information. For the gross pay, federal tax, benefits, and then the net pay. And then we'll have to add code to our exit button. Of course, that is system.exit. And then for our reset or clear, this should clear all the text fields. How many text fields do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and later we will add other things there. So it's first write the code of our compute button. You'll first compute for the gross pay, and the gross pay is the hours worked times pay rate. We need to go to save first the hours worked and the pay rate and the gross pay, and then we get the hours worked from J text field 4. And we'll have to convert this to double, so you will use double dot parse double and then J text field get text. So the hours worked will be coming from the J text field's text, J text field 4. Then we'll also get the pay rate from J text field 5. Okay, because going back here, this is J text 4. That is our the data for the hours worked, and J text 5, text field 5 is the data of our pay rate. So we have field 4 and field 5. And then to get the gross pay, we'll have to multiply the hours worked times the pay rate. Next, we'll compute for the federal tax. So federal tax is given in the description, the problem specification. This is the federal tax rates. So the tax rates are 8%, 8%, 18%, and 28%. So that is if the gross pay is greater than or less than 985, then tax is computed 8%. If it's greater than 985 up to 2,450, then the tax rate is 18. So the tax rates depends on the value of the gross pay. So we will make an if condition for that. Going back to our compute button, after computing the gross pay, so let's say we have here compute gross pay, we'll now compute for the federal tax. in the given formula, the federal tax depends on the value of the gross pay. So let's first declare the variable for our federal tax, and we'll have a if statement. If the gross pay is less than 985, then the federal tax is 8%. Okay, 8% of the gross pay. Else, if the gross pay is less than 2,400, less than or equal to 2,450, then the federal tax is 18% of the gross pay. Else, the federal tax is 28%. Next is we compute for the benefits. So the benefits comes from this panel. So it depends on the retirement plan and the medical insurance. So if the chosen retirement plan is no, then there is no benefit. So let's compute first for the retirement. First, we need to group our radio buttons in order for the user to select only one retirement plan. So if we have options for the user and the user can only select one of the options, you should use radio buttons for that. Unlike the check boxes here, if you allow multiple choices, then you can use checkbox. Again, with radio button, the user can only select one option, but in checkbox, the user can select multiple option. So since this is a radio button and only one option has to be selected, you'll have to group this radio buttons. First, you need to import the javax.swing button group, and then let's create a void method for grouping the button. And then this will be the name of the group of the buttons, of the radio buttons. Then we can add the radio buttons to this group using the add method, and we'll add radio button 1. We'll also add the radio button 2 and radio button 3. With this, the user can only select one option in your radio button. Before that, you'll have to call the radio button, the method group button. So here in the initial call of our method, the starting point of running the program, we have to call the group button method. So with this, you can only select one among the three. But in the checkbox, the user can select multiple choices. So after this, we can check now whether the J radio button is checked using the is selected property. So if the radio button 1 is selected, then the retirement is 0. Okay, because radio button 1 is no retirement plan. But of course, we'll need to declare the retirement first. And then else if the second radio button is checked, the retirement plan benefit is 5% of the gross pay. If the third one is selected, then the retirement is 8% of the gross pay. Next is we will compute for the total medical insurance selected. So let's create the variable for the insurance. So we will also test here if the checkbox is selected, then the insurance is actually, since insurance is accumulation of 3, so we can initialize insurance with 0 and add insurance is equals to insurance plus the value for the first checkbox, which is the medical insurance. It's $37.75. Else, or if, since this is a multiple option, so all the 3 can be selected, so we can just use the if statement here. If the second checkbox is selected, then we will add to the insurance a value of $18.35. If the third checkbox is selected, the insurance will be adding $4. Next, we'll have to compute for the total benefits, which is equals to the retirement plus the insurance, the total insurance. So the benefits that we'll display here will be the retirement plan plus the total insurance. So that is why we have benefits equals retirement plus the insurance. The retirement again comes from the radio button selected, so only one radio button has to be selected, so we use an if, else if, and else for the For the insurance, since all can be selected, so we used here if, the if condition, so that all of this will be read and can be added to the insurance. With the structure if else, only one has to be executed. But if you have this if structures, all of these conditions can be executed. Now, we now have the benefits. Next we'll compute for the net pay. So the net pay is computed to be equals to the gross pay minus the federal tax and the benefits. So after computing all of those data, we can, after calculation, we can display them as output. So we will be displaying this data here in JText field 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we will be using the set text field, of course. So we'll have to call the JText field 6 set text to be equals to the value of the gross pay, but the gross pay is in double format, so we need to transform it to text or string using the string that value of, and then we'll have to call the gross pay. Take note of the casing because this is case sensitive. Next, we'll display the federal tax in text field 7. So convert the value or the double value to string, and then what we will converting is the federal tax. The next we will display in text field 8 is the string value of the total benefits. Next, in text field 9 is the value of our net pay. Okay, so we have this calculations, and then this is the display. If you run this, you have to enter our name, our employee ID, the department, and the hours worked can be, say, 40, and the pay rate is 100. Then there's retirement standard and life insurance and dental insurance. Compute, we have the total of 4,000 for the gross pay, federal tax is 1,120, the benefits is 2,222.35, and net pay is 2,657.65.